issue. They spoke about the lights. This is for Miss Wynn, the 98-year-old resident on Lincoln. They've had no lights for maybe 2 weeks. They call and they expect her to go and tell them whether or not this is a wood pole or a metal pole, which I think is ludicrous. I've called 4 times. I've called for dead animals. You don't get calls back, and I'm trying to figure why Public Works has a phone with a voicemail. You leave a message and you don't get an answer and you get no service. That's unacceptable. For everybody in here, that's unacceptable. They're giving out false information. Go to the county. County says, go to your municipality. Well, our municipality says, go to the county. What do we do if we got roadkill? We've always done it. And we have a superintendent or whatever his title is that does not respond. That's my first complaint. If there's been, or where we stand with the Post House, I understand there's some tours. So we'd like to know how that's coming, how it's proceeding, if we're making any money on it. So we'd like to know that. Number 3, I don't know about anybody else, I'd like to know the status of our interim chief. You know, there's so many words on the street, but nobody tells the public anything. And we have a right to know.
And that's so funny.
I saw that on the agenda. I think I had this conversation with you. I'm a little concerned or perplexed that is a state mandated committee that speaks of the mayor and the trustees and the commission. But why do we have a police and fire committee that consists of 3 of the trustees? Why do I stop here when they have told us point blank they don't have to come to our meetings, they're not obligated, they can't give us no advice, so what do we need them for when we can just go straight to the whole board? Thank you.
Yo, what's up, fam? You're not going to believe what went down at the recent Dolton meeting, and if you thought politics was boring, think again. We're diving into some local government chaos, shady moves, and public outrage, all wrapped up in one wild session. And yes, it's all about Tiffany Henyard's replacement and the fallout from her departure. Buckle up because this one is messy, entertaining, and totally YouTube-worthy. So, here's the setup. Ever since Tiffany Henyard left, the energy at these meetings has changed. The replacements are trying to run the show, but people aren't letting them off easy. Residents are coming in hot, asking questions, demanding accountability, and exposing the gaps in how things are being run. And you better believe these questions aren't softballs. They're hitting right where it counts. We're talking double 6-figure salaries being handed out without explanation, confusion over who's responsible for municipal roles, and a whole lot of finger-pointing. One of the highlights of this meeting? Mary Vaught shows up, quiet, observing, but definitely present. Now, you'd think someone like that would stay under the radar, right? Wrong. She's there, soaking it all in, but the people in the audience? They're firing off questions left and right. Why is this person getting a massive salary? What exactly are they going to be doing? And why is nobody accountable? It's classic public frustration, and honestly, it's totally justified. The replacement administration is trying to maintain composure, but you can see the tension bubbling under the surface. And then there's Trina Dallas, who completely steals the show. This woman comes in swinging, figuratively, not literally, laying down complaints like she's writing the script for a legal drama. She's got federal rights violations, water bill disputes, and a whole list of grievances, and she's not afraid to make it known. She even pulls out the big guns, mentioning the FBI because apparently she's filed a report regarding violations at the meeting. Now, I don't know if she's exaggerating or not, but let's be real. The energy she brings is off the charts. You can feel it through the screen. This is someone who doesn't just stand in line and nod. She demands answers, and she's not backing down. Here's the kicker. The audience and the administration are caught in a back and forth that's equal parts absurd and dramatic. Residents are frustrated that calls go unanswered, messages get ignored, and public works issues like streetlights for elderly residents aren't being addressed. And when you try to get clarity, you get redirected from the county to the municipality and back again. Nobody is taking responsibility, and the residents are rightfully livid. It's chaos. It's frustration. It's democracy in its rawest form. Messy, passionate, and unfiltered. What makes this even more interesting is the way people are holding the replacement administration accountable for Tiffany Henyard's legacy. Remember, Tiffany set a high bar, flashy campaigns, promises of reform, and a reputation for being both a super mayor and a political disruptor. Her replacements are now getting measured against that standard, and the audience isn't sugarcoating anything. They're calling out hypocrisy, demanding explanations, and making sure their voices are heard. Trina Dallas even highlights past mismanagement and corruption, reminding the attendees that public funds, including water billing and other essential services, must be managed responsibly. She points out that meetings have been mismanaged, minutes aren't being recorded, and proper oversight isn't happening. And you know what's crazy? The audience is actively listening, nodding along, and even laughing at the absurdity of some of the bureaucracy. It's a mix of comedy and public service. People are frustrated, but there's a certain entertainment value in watching officials squirm under scrutiny. Now, let's break down why this matters. The Dolton meeting isn't just a local gossip session. It's a reflection of what happens when government transparency meets public accountability. Residents are expecting answers about budgets, salaries, and services. They want to know why decisions are made behind closed doors, why funds are allocated without explanation, and why the same mistakes seem to happen repeatedly. And when these issues aren't addressed, people like Trina and Mary step up to demand clarity, which makes for an intense and engaging session. One of the funniest things? The hypocrisy angle. Some officials are quick to call out Tiffany Henyard for her past decisions, alleged corruption, power moves, and flashy campaigns, but then they ignore similar issues happening under their watch. It's a classic case of the pot calling the kettle black, and residents aren't letting them get away with it. Social media snippets from a meeting have already started circulating, and people are having a field day pointing out inconsistencies, mismanagement, and outright ridiculous decisions. Another critical point is the focus on real-life issues. We're talking about a 98-year-old resident without streetlights, unanswered calls to public works, and general neglect of essential services. While the political drama grabs attention, the underlying issues, safety, infrastructure, and accountability, are what affect the community the most. And residents are not holding back. They're demanding that these problems be addressed immediately, not eventually, or we'll look into it. Throughout all this, the energy in the room is palpable. You can feel the tension rise as residents push for answers, officials try to maintain control, and former political players like Tiffany's allies or critics watch the chaos unfold. Every comment, every challenge, every sarcastic remark adds fuel to the fire. And you know what? That's what makes this meeting both entertaining and informative. You get the drama, but you also get insight into how local politics really functions when the public refuses to stay silent. In the end, the Dolton meeting is a masterclass in political theater and civic engagement. Residents are holding officials accountable, exposing hypocrisy, and demanding transparency. They're questioning salaries, budget mismanagement, and procedural inconsistencies. They're bringing in past incidents, challenging claims, and even referencing federal rights and legal protections. And the officials? They're trying to keep it together, but the public isn't letting them off easy. So, what's the takeaway for viewers? This isn't just about Tiffany Henyard or her replacement. It's about public accountability, civic engagement, and transparency in local government. When residents pay attention, ask questions, and demand answers, they force those in power to perform and justify their actions. And sometimes it takes a little drama, a little chaos, and some outspoken citizens to make sure the system works the way it's supposed to. And let's be real, moments like these are entertaining. They're dramatic. They're the kind of stuff that keeps people engaged and talking about local politics. But beyond the entertainment, there's a deeper lesson. Voters have power, residents have rights, and accountability is non-negotiable. Officials can't just coast on tradition, quiet offices, or unchecked authority. People like Trina and Mary are proof of that. They show that persistent, informed, and vocal citizens can shine a light on mismanagement and demand better. So, whether you're in Dolton, Fulton County, or anywhere else, take note. Pay attention to local politics, ask the tough questions, and never let anyone gloss over your community's issues. Politics might seem boring from a distance, but up close, it's messy, dramatic, and sometimes even hilarious, especially when public servants are called out live in a meeting full of residents who won't take no comment for an answer. All right, fam, that's it for today's breakdown of the Dolton Township drama. What do you think about Tiffany Henyard's replacement? Are residents justified in calling out the double six-figure salaries and ignored public concerns? How far should accountability go? And what would you do if you were in that meeting? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you're all about civic engagement, and subscribe to stay updated on all the drama, politics, and public accountability you won't hear anywhere else. Stay sharp, stay loud, and remember, your voice matters. Never let them silence you. Peace.